In a private hospital's presidential suite, silence reigned, broken only by the steady beep of heart monitors. James Carter, a 45-year-old tech billionaire and one of the few black CEOs among the Fortune 500, lay motionless for 18 days. A mysterious crash in his private jet left a red scar on his left temple, the only visible trace of a tragedy that nearly claimed his life. Or so everyone thought. Unknown to even his personal doctors, James woke on the third day post-crash. He chose silence, eyes closed, breathing controlled for a precise reason: to uncover who sabotaged his jet. "We need to rethink our strategy, Laura," said Emily Carter, his wife of 7 years, from beyond the glass door, her voice muffled but clear in the room's stillness. "The board's concerned. Investors are jittery. We can't wait forever." "Patience, dear sister," replied Michael, James's half-brother and COO of Carter Innovations. "One more week, and the board will vote to activate the incapacity clause. Remember our deal with Dr. Harris? The medical reports are ready." Inside, James's heart raced beneath his calm facade. His instincts were right. The crash was just the start, a sabotage, not a mere murder attempt, but part of a calculated plan to seize his empire. "What about his lawyer, Sarah Thompson?" Emily asked. "She's still pushing to see the original test results." "Sarah's no longer a problem," Michael replied with icy confidence. "I arranged a meeting with the Bar Association's Ethics Committee. Seems some compromising documents turned up in her office." James's blood boiled as he overheard the plot against his loyal advisor, Sarah Thompson, a black attorney who'd been his mentor in law school and right hand at Carter Innovations. The door creaked open. Light, rhythmic footsteps entered. "Good morning, Mr. Carter," came a clear, professional voice, free of the false sweetness often used with unconscious patients. "I'm Ava, your new night nurse." James caught a faint lavender scent as she checked his vitals and adjusted his monitor. "Your readings are stable," she noted. "That's good." A minute of silence followed. Then a slight weight settled on the chair beside his bed. "I don't know if you can hear me," Ava continued, her voice now a quiet, confessional whisper. "But I need to tell you something." "I shouldn't be here." James maintained his steady breathing, curiosity piqued. "I was hired 3 days ago to replace your previous nurse, who, I was told, abruptly resigned," Ava said, pausing. "But last night, reviewing your chart, I found something odd. Your sedation levels far exceed protocol for your neurological condition, and there are inconsistencies in the reflex reports." She leaned closer, her voice a faint murmur. "I'm not just a nurse, Mr. Carter. I'm a forensic neurology specialist, and I can say with certainty something's very wrong with your treatment. Someone's deliberately keeping you sedated, preventing recovery." James's heart skipped a beat, too subtle for the monitors, but real. "I don't know who or why," Ava went on, "but I promise I'll find out and help you wake up, even if it risks my job, or worse." She stood, adjusting his IV. "I'm gradually reducing your sedation. No one will notice, but in a few days you should show signs of consciousness. When that happens, we can—" The door swung open. Ava stepped back with professional ease. "Just checking vitals, as requested, Dr. Harris," she said, her tone shifting. "Thank you, nurse," a male voice replied. "I'll take it from here." As the door closed, James felt both dread and hope. In a world where he thought he was alone, he'd found an unexpected ally. But what Ava didn't know, what no one suspected, was that he was already awake. Behind those closed eyes, a plan was forming to turn this betrayal into his greatest weapon. In this high-end Chicago clinic, no one could imagine that the man they deemed helpless had built an empire by seeing opportunities where others saw obstacles. Now, lying still as they schemed to steal all he'd built, James was already plotting not just his recovery, but the spectacular downfall of those who dared underestimate him as an outsider who'd earned his place among the elite. On the third night after meeting Ava, James's plan took shape. As she adjusted his pillow, he risked a near imperceptible move, 2 twitches of his index finger, when she asked if he could hear her. Ava froze, eyes wide. "You're awake." Another twitch. "Yes." Her shock turned to resolve. "We need a code," she whispered, checking the door. 1 twitch for yes, 2 for no. "Blink once if you agree." He did. That night, as the clinic slept, they devised a simple communication system. Ava brought letter cards, and James spelled words, letter by letter. It was slow, grueling, but each word was a victory over those trying to silence him. "They tampered with my jet," he revealed that first night. "Who would do this?" Ava asked, incredulous. "Emily and Michael," James spelled out, "his wife and brother. Why? Project Horizon." Project Horizon, a revolutionary innovation Carter Innovations was secretly developing under James's direct oversight, was a renewable energy system promising to slash electricity costs for underserved communities. James had kept details from the board, sharing them only with a trusted few. By day, Ava observed, Michael visited often, always with Dr. Harris, reviewing charts and asking seemingly concerned but calculated questions. Emily rarely came, and when she did, she never touched James, her gaze scanning the room's valuables as if already planning what to sell. "I have news on Sarah Thompson," Ava told him one evening, ensuring they were unwatched. "A contact in her office says the ethics committee's pressuring her with fabricated documents, bribery, and contract fraud allegations, all fake." James's quick glance betrayed his anger, even in his forced stillness. "Don't worry," Ava said with a confident smile. "I sent her an anonymous tip about the accusations. Sarah's brilliant. She'll unravel the setup." Meanwhile, Michael pushed his plan forward. Ava recorded a hallway conversation between him and Dr. Harris. "The board votes next week," Michael said, glancing at his gold watch. "We need a final neurological report confirming permanent brain damage." "It's nearly done," Harris replied, voice low and nervous. "But the night nurse is asking questions." She checked old records. Michael sighed impatiently. "She's just a nurse. If she's trouble, fire her." They didn't suspect James was not only listening, but regaining strength. Under Ava's discreet guidance, he did small exercises when unseen, tensing muscles, moving fingers, preparing for the right moment. On the 6th night, Ava brought an unexpected visitor. "Someone needs to see you," she whispered, locking the door. A stern woman approached. "Mr. Carter, I'm Dr. Lynn, a forensic neurologist. Ava came to me, concerned about your case." Dr. Lynn examined James covertly for 30 minutes, using no equipment that might alert staff. "As we suspected," she declared, "there's no permanent neurological damage. The prolonged sedation is criminal. He's being kept in this state artificially. We need ironclad evidence, Ava insisted, something undeniable in court. I have an idea, Dr. Lynn replied, opening her briefcase. But it's risky and requires Mr. Carter's full cooperation. The next morning, Michael entered Carter Innovation's boardroom in New York with a triumphant smile. The board, 12 men and women in crisp suits, was ready to vote on a temporary power transfer. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, distributing documents, as you see from the medical report, my brother has, tragically, suffered irreversible brain damage. Dr. Harris recommends decisive action to stabilize leadership. Rachel Okoye, the board's only black member and James's longtime friend, studied the papers suspiciously. This feels too convenient, Michael. James was perfectly healthy before the crash. Tragedies happen, Rachel, Emily replied sweetly. Believe me, no one's more devastated than I am. Rachel noted Emily wasn't wearing her wedding ring, though her husband had been fighting for life less than 3 weeks. We all admire what James built, Michael continued, his honeyed voice masking pulsing ambition. But we must be realistic. Shares are down 12% since the crash. Investors need stability. Unbeknownst to Michael, Rachel was secretly recording every word on her phone. The plan was in motion, not his, but James's. Back at the clinic, Ava and Dr. Lynn exchanged knowing glances, reviewing results from a secret test. The monitor revealed something no one expected, flipping the game entirely. The man everyone thought was on death's edge was not only fully conscious, but had regained far more bodily control than anyone imagined. Ready for the next phase? Ava asked, as Dr. Lynn packed her portable equipment. James's eyes opened fully for the first time in weeks, a slow smile spreading. More than ready, he replied, voice weak but resolute. They think they're stealing my empire. They have no idea what's coming. The billionaire everyone believed lost to a deep coma was merely waiting for the perfect moment to emerge, not just to reclaim what was his, but to unveil a truth that would shake the foundations of all his family. Thought they'd built. A secret even Ava, his fiercest ally, couldn't yet fathom. In Carter Innovation's boardroom, tension hung like a courtroom awaiting a verdict. Michael smiled tightly, handing out copies of the falsified medical report. Emily, beside him, maintained a mask of sorrow, occasionally dabbing her eyes with a silk handkerchief, tears never falling. If there are no further questions, Michael declared, we can vote on the temporary transfer of executive powers, as Dr. Harris recommended. Rachel Okoye raised her hand. One last question. Why isn't Dr. Harris here to explain his findings in person? Michael exchanged a quick glance with Emily. Unfortunately, the doctor was called to an emergency, but his report is clear. Clear as your conscience, Michael? A deep, steady voice boomed across the room. All eyes snapped to the door. There stood James Carter, immaculate in a navy suit, leaning slightly on a dark wooden cane. Beside him, Ava and Dr. Lynn watched the board's stunned reactions. Sarah Thompson, his lawyer, followed with a black briefcase. Emily knocked over her water glass. Michael froze, face ashen. This is impossible, he stammered, rising. You're in a deep coma, Dr. Harris had said. Dr. Harris! James cut in, striding to the room's center. is currently being questioned by police for falsifying medical records and attempted murder through criminal malpractice. Dr. Lin stepped forward, placing neurological test results on the table. As an independent forensic neurologist, I confirm Mr. Carter was kept in artificial sedation with no medical necessity. His natural recovery was deliberately sabotaged. "This is absurd," Emily protested, her composure crumbling. "My husband suffered a terrible accident." "A very convenient accident," James added coldly. "A jet with flawless maintenance records suffers a critical hydraulic failure just as you push to restructure the company's equity." Sarah opened her briefcase, distributing documents to the board. "Here are records of communications between Emily Carter and Michael Hayes weeks before the crash. You'll note specific references to a permanent solution to the Horizon problem. Project Horizon, Carter Innovation's heart of social innovation, aimed to deliver affordable, sustainable energy to poor communities." "This is ridiculous," Michael tried to regain control. "We're obviously discussing technical hurdles for the project, not James." James smiled for the first time. "Ava, please." The nurse stepped forward with a tablet playing a video. Michael, in the clinic hallway, speaking to Dr. Harris. "Keep him sedated until the board vote. Then we can let nature take its course. A patient in a coma so long, accidents happen." The board watched in stunned silence. "This is a montage," Michael stammered, face flushed with panic. "You can't believe this." "This is a nurse, a forensic neurologist," Ava corrected calmly, "and a certified digital evidence analyst. And we have much more." Sarah laid another document on the table, a bank statement showing large payments from an offshore company controlled by Michael to Dr. Harris 3 days before the crash. Rachel Okoye stood furious. "This is despicable. Attempted murder, corporate fraud, family betrayal." James approached Michael, who now backed away. "Know what fascinates me most, Michael? How you and Emily truly believed you could outmaneuver me so easily. As if I, who built this company from nothing, facing bias at every meeting, every deal, every funding round, would just give up. Emily, seeing it all collapse, tried one last play. James, darling, you're confused. You're still under medication. We were just protecting you." "Spare me," James cut her off coldly. "Is your wedding ring in your purse or already sold? A week after my crash, you were planning to redecorate my house." Security guards entered quietly. "Mr. Carter," the head guard reported. "Police are waiting in the lobby. Shall we escort Mr. Hayes and Mrs. Carter?" "Please." As guards approached, Michael panicked. "You don't understand. Project Horizon will ruin our biggest contracts. Investors will flee. It's throwing away decades of work for a charity project." "It's not charity," James replied calmly as Michael was led away. "It's the future. And the investors. They approved it last night while you plotted my demise." As the room cleared, leaving only the shell-shocked board, James finally sat in the chair Michael had occupied minutes earlier. Fatigue flickered across his face. "I thought we lost you," Rachel whispered, gripping his shoulder. "I would have been," James replied, looking at Ava, "if not for someone who refused to abet injustice, even when silence would have been easier. What no one in that room could imagine was that the conspiracy against James Carter had unearthed something far deeper than mere family betrayal. Beneath the smiles of relief and congratulations lurked a more disturbing truth, tying the assassination attempt to a circle far wider and more powerful than just Michael and Emily. That day's justice was merely the opening move in a much larger game, where the true motives to kill Project Horizon involved some of the nation's most influential names. And as James watched Ava confer with Sarah, one question lingered. How far would the loyalty of this woman, who risked everything for a stranger in a coma, go? The answer, he'd soon find, would reshape not just his empire, but his entire understanding of trust, power, and the true meaning of family. 6 months later, Carter Innovations' headquarters in Silicon Valley had transformed, not just physically, with Project Horizon's solar panels gleaming on the roof, but in its core mission. James gazed over the city from his revamped office. That morning, papers reported the final sentencing: Michael Hayes, convicted of attempted murder and corporate fraud, got 15 years. Emily, his ex-wife, took 8 after a plea deal. Dr. Harris lost his medical license and awaited a separate trial. "You need to see this," Ava said, entering with a tablet. A video showed kids at a public school in a low-income Chicago neighborhood testing new Horizon-powered streetlights. The first pilot's working perfectly, 78% reduction in electricity bills. James smiled. And the investors? Still nervous about our social shift? Nervous? Ava laughed. Stocks are up 42% since the nationwide launch announcement. Seems doing good can profit. Rachel Okoye entered, followed by Sarah Thompson, now Carter Innovations' Chief Legal Officer. Rachel announced the foundation's creation, laying final documents on the table: the Carter Ellis Foundation for Healthcare Ethics. Ava looked surprised, hearing her surname tied to James's. "You saved my life," he explained simply. "Your name belongs there." "I still can't believe you did this," Ava said, shaking her head, allocating 30% of Horizon's profits to reform hospital ethics. Sarah added that participating hospitals were adopting safety systems for vulnerable patients, password-protected ICU cameras, double-checked medications, independent external ombudsman. "By the way," Rachel interjected, "guess who called me today? Michael, from prison." James raised an eyebrow. What did our dear conspirator want? Believe it or not, to negotiate. Said he has info on other execs involved in sabotaging Horizon. Apparently, his plan had more players, big names in traditional energy. James didn't seem surprised. "I always knew there was more to this. Michael didn't have the brains to orchestrate it alone." "Want me to arrange a visit?" Sarah asked. "No," James replied, turning to the window. "Let him sit. Truth has a way of surfacing in time." Later, James and Ava toured the company's new research center. Young scientists from diverse backgrounds worked on advanced Horizon prototypes. "Know what impresses me most?" Ava remarked, watching the team. "Not the tech, but the culture shift. Half these researchers wouldn't get a shot in a traditional corporation." James nodded. "When you're flat on your back, like I was in that hospital bed, you see who really cares and who's just pretending. That experience taught me to judge people by character, not appearances or credentials." "You could have just moved on, reclaimed the company," Ava noted. "Why change anything?" James paused, looking at her gravely. "Because I learned something in that ward. Power without purpose is empty. Michael and Emily had everything: money, status, influence, yet craved more, enough to try killing me for it. And me? I built a tech empire, broke barriers as a black man in a hostile corporate world. But for what? It took nearly dying to realize real success isn't just what we achieve, but what we build for others. On their way back, they paused at a new glass plaque in the main lobby, engraved with a quote, "True strength lies not in how much power you amass, but in how you respond when that power is threatened. It's in our moments of greatest vulnerability that we discover our true selves." Ava smiled, recognizing her own words, spoken to James one night in the clinic. "Who'd have thought," she murmured, "a temp nurse and a billionaire supposedly in a coma would change so many lives?" James took her hand gently. "We're not done. We're just beginning." That night, as Michael stared at his cell's gray walls and Emily adjusted to federal prison, James and Ava finalized plans for Horizon's largest expansion, bringing affordable energy to marginalized communities across 3 continents. The plot to destroy James Carter didn't just fail, it sparked a transformation no one could have predicted. His brush with death reborn him with higher purpose, proving sometimes we must lose everything to see what truly matters. This tale reminds us our greatest strength lies not in the power we hold, but in the integrity with which we wield it. From the deepest injustices can spring the mightiest transformations, if we dare turn our pain into purpose.